Hello, my friend. Welcome to Dreamy Nights. It's wonderful to share this quiet with you. Tonight unfolds like lamplight on still water, a gentle story, unhurried and kind, where breath slows and time softens. Set down the day and let the hush of evening gather tender as falling dusk. When the world grows dim at the edges, the heart remembers how to rest, how to listen to the soft places between thoughts. When readiness arrives, like the faint glow of a first star, the story begins to open a slow door, a velvet corridor of night. The night hangs vast and unbroken, a velvet map without creases. Light collects along the horizon in a silver seam, a quiet promise rather than a line to cross. The air holds a fine coolness, the sort that settles across skin like silk, and the sky answers with a low, sustained hush. Not wind exactly, but the breath of distance. In that hush, a figure stands as if translated from starlight, the Celestial Cartographer patient, and still listening to what the dark has always known. Constellations are not hunted here. They arrive the way dew arrives, by gentleness. A lantern rests near the cartographer's feet, its glass warm with a butter-soft glow. The light has a weightless texture, like dust motes drifting through honey, and it brushes the ground with a hush of pale gold. Fingers calm, unadorned, lift the lantern by its curved handle. Metal cool against skin flame, steady in its small cathedral of glass. The surrounding quiet deepens as though the dark bends closer to watch. In the lantern's reflection, faint stars loosen like seeds from a pine cone. Unhurried, inevitable, drifting toward a place where maps are made from mercy. A wide table stands nearby, planed, smooth and luminous as the inside of a shell. Across its surface lies a sheet of vellum, pale as moon milk, waiting without demand. The cartographer brushes a palm along the edge, a slow grounding gesture. Texture meets touch, the slightest tooth of the parchment, the sweet clean scent of fiber and paste. A quill rests beside an ink bowl, but tonight the ink is not ink. It is the thinnest suspension of star water gathered in silence at the hour when the night forgets it is night. A fine mineral coolness rises from the bowl, like the memory of rain. The first stroke is not drawn, it is found. The quill lifts and pauses, glimmering with a thread of fluid light that clings to its tip as dew clings to grass. The cartographer lets the hand hover, allowing the soundscape to choose the path. The distant choir of constellations humming in long, even tones. The barely there sigh of the lantern's wick. The soft creak of wood settling into its own patience. The nib touches down. An arc unfurls steady as breath taken in the dark. No need to rush. The curve is a listening, a slow recognition of where stillness wants to travel. Beyond the table, sky pools in every direction, deep indigo holding a scatter of opaline stars. Each star seems to pulse once, then rest, as if keeping time with an invisible tide. The cartographer looks not at the obvious brightness, but at the quiet between points, the tender ravines where thought thins and calm collects. Fingers trace the air without touching it, sketching lines that will not exist on the vellum until they have fully arrived in the body. The scent in the night shifts faint and clean, like stone rinsed by long rain. In that scent lives a promise. The map will be gentle. A small kettle sits at the edge of the workbench, blackened from years of patient use. The cartographer pours water into a clay cup nestled in the lantern's circle. The water catches the light and holds it like a tremble. Steam rises fragrant with a green meadow soft aroma, not a stimulus, but a settling. The cup warms the palm, a quiet pulse of heat spreading through the bones of the hand. The cartographer breathes the warmth, lets it pass, sets the cup down with the softest click of ceramic on wood. The steam unwinds itself like a white ribbon vanishing into night. Ink again. A second line is born from the bowl drifting across the page with a feathery gleam that fades as it dries. It does not fence anything. It reveals a passage already there, the way light reveals dust turning in an attic beam. Where lines meet, they do not strike. They lean. They lean toward one another as reeds do in a shared breeze. The lantern's glow breathes smaller, then larger, smaller, then larger. A quiet heartbeat. The surface of the vellum changes beneath the quill, slick for a moment, then matte as star water resolves into memory. At the table's corner rests a small leather case. Inside, a compass sleeps not a navigator's brass, but a disc of clear crystal cradling a thread of starlight. When the case opens, the light thread stirs and orients with unhurried conviction, aligning not northward but inward, toward the place in the chest where calm has a door. The cartographer lifts it carefully. The crystal is cool and smooth, the thread within moving as gently as a hair afloat in a stream. Set upon the vellum, the compass does not command. It listens. Its glow brightens when the map remembers how to breathe. There is a nebula at the periphery, a clouded bloom the color of violets at dusk. It is in trouble. It is residue, the soft sediment of thought phrases, once sharp, now dulled by distance. The cartographer observes without approaching, letting the lantern's warmth fall across the page in a slow golden oval. The nebula turns upon itself, the way a sleeping creature turns sighing, seeking comfort. The air cools slightly at its edge, a tender contrast against the lantern's modest heat. A line arcs near it, not to contain it, not to solve it, but to offer a path around so it may dim in peace. Soft tools are arranged with ritual gentleness. A brush for stray dust, a cloth for excess light. The cartographer lifts the brush and moves it in small circular motions over the vellum's margin. The bristles whisper against the page. Whisper and then silence. Whisper, then silence again. The cloth follows, catching the pale sparkle where ink pooled too generously. The movement is not correction. It is quiet caretaking, the way one might tuck a blanket closer to a sleeping shoulder. The room, if it can be called a room, smells of warm paper and faint tea, and the smallest thread of smoke from the lantern's wick. In the sky, 2 stars drift closer by perception alone, a pareidolia of mercy. Between them, the map suggests a passage, like a narrow inlet leading inland. The cartographer draws it as a soft groove of light, a path that widens as it proceeds, until it becomes a small bay where breath can come to shore. The lantern's flame nods once as if approving, then steadies. In the bay's curve, a cluster of fine points gathers, not bright, but abundant, like grains of salt scattered across dark stone. This is the harbor of quiet remembering, where the day sets down its keys and forgets its name. A breeze moves too light to sway anything, yet it touches everything. A sensation rather than an event. The cartographer pauses to receive it, letting the quill rest across the ceramic lip of the ink bowl. The breeze smells faintly of cold iron and wet bark of a forest standing somewhere in the night like a congregation of listening trunks. The cartographer's shoulders ease. The spine finds a softer line. A hand warmed by the tea returns to the quill, and the next stroke appears, almost on its own, a crescent road, whose edges blur into graded shadow, a pathway for thoughts that would rather drift than arrive. A small box opens with a considerate click. Inside, a fragment of meteor glass gleams in layered smoke, its surface patterned with tiny ripples that catch and release the lantern light. The cartographer holds it to the sky. Indigo filters through the glass and becomes silk, a transformation that happens first to the eyes, then to the pulse. When the fragment lowers to the vellum, it casts an oval of softened blue. The cartographer circles that blue with a thread of ink and lets the circle remain unfinished, an open cuff of light. The air around it cools the skin like evening shade after sun. Now, the map begins to speak in a language without edges. It is the language of hum and drift, of minor keys held a moment past decay. Lines that once seemed discreet begin to remember one another, and their meetings resemble embraces. The cartographer lifts the quill and does not mark anything. Instead, fingertips rest flat upon the page, feeling a warmth that is not heat, but presence, the page answering back with its grain, its lived patience. The lantern hums in the gentle physics of its flame. The tea's fragrance has quieted into a meadow's memory after rain. At the far end of the vellum, a space remains, unmarked, a soft, inviting field where the night's breath can lie down. The cartographer does nothing with it. The not drawing becomes an act of drawing a deliberate welcome of emptiness, like a cushion set on a window seat only to hold light. The sky above mirrors the choice, offering a clearing where stars thin and darkness grows honest and deep. In that clearing, something loosens, not a knot, not a problem, simply a small muscle of the mind that had been holding on to a name it no longer needs. The cartographer closes the leather case, returns the meteor glass to its nest, and sets the brush alongside the bowl with tender alignment. Each motion is slow enough to hear the soft friction of leather's seam, the faint tap of crystal against wood, the calm breath leaving and entering again. The lantern is turned down a fraction. The flame settles a smaller crown in its clear chamber. The map shimmers once a slow exhale of light along the curves and then rests. The room folds its edges inward, as rooms do when they understand it is time to become shelter. Beyond the table, night deepens as if steeping. The stars above no longer glitter. They glow steady and devout. Somewhere not far, not near, simply kind. A low tone rises like the first humming line of a lullaby sung into a hollow stone. It sustains without growing a ribbon of sound, soft as a fingertip across a page. The cartographer listens with the eyes open and the hand quiet. There will be 7 more passages, 7 more meridians of stillness to cross. But for now, the first shore has been found. The lantern's light gathers itself in a patient pool, and the map dreams in place. The map rests where it was left, a pale field, threaded with slow rivers of light. The room, or the idea of a room, holds steady around it. Lantern glow pooled like warm honey air, cool as stone kept in shade. The celestial cartographer returns to the table without haste, moving through a hush that remembers the first drawing, the first curve that taught the page how to breathe. A mild fragrance has settled since then, a new companion to paper and tea. The clean resin soft scent of cedar shavings, faint as a secret. In the distance of the sky, a tone continues, as soft and low as the inside of a seashell. A serene glance crosses the vellum, not to judge, only to greet. The surface has dried into a matte whisper, the star water ink, cured into a powdery sheen that the fingertips can almost hear. The cartographer studies the open field at the margin that chosen emptiness and lets the eyes rest there as one might rest against a doorframe. Light from the lantern elongates across the table, amber drawn thin as silk, and gathers at the lip of the ink bowl. Steam is gone from the clay cup. Its warmth has become memory, leaving a green meadow cool ghost at the rim. A small cedar box is drawn closer, its lid carved with a ring of simple stars. The wood is smooth under the hand edges, softened by years and kindness. When the lid lifts, the room acquires a whisper of forest-dry needles, sun-baked bark, a hush of shadow among tall trunks. Inside lies a length of linen and a bottle the color of dawn seen through river ice. The bottle holds clear oil pressed from a humble seed, scentless, except for the faint sweetness of something kept safe. The cartographer settles the box to the left and lets silence widen to fit the gesture. Light wood skin, then stillness again. The compass waits in its leather nest crystal, cool thread of light within, attentive as a resting bird. It is lifted with 2 fingers and the pad of a thumb, and the thread brightens at the touch, orienting not outward but inward toward a quiet center that has no coordinates. The crystal surface meets the air with a tiny kiss of temperature, the smallest coolness like a silver coin held briefly and returned. It is set upon the vellum's unmarked field. The thread swivels, then lingers as though listening for a note that only the page can sing. The cartographer unrolls a strip of linen from the cedar box and tears it gently down the grain. The rip is soft and even, a silk paper sound that lives and vanishes in the same breath. A drop of clear oil is coaxed onto the cloth and spread with 2 smooth passes of the thumb. The linen darkens, then clears, leaving only the promise of suppleness. The lantern shows every small motion, the press of finger pads, the sheen that arrives and then slides back into the weave. A faint cedar murmur rises when the box is closed. The room smells now of wood paper and a remembered meadow. The lantern itself receives attention next. The wick knob turns with the mildest resistance, a friendly friction that speaks in fibered syllables. The flame leans, then steadies, smaller and more concentrated, its crown drawn neat within the glass. A hand lifts the globe, and a breath is given not to puff, only to taste the air inside and return it warmer by a degree. The glass is wiped with the oiled linen in slow arcs, each circle finding its way to transparency. A trace of soot prints onto the cloth like a quiet galaxy. The globe returns to its collar with a soft metal ring, and the flame glows clearer, a lamp rehearsing how to be a moon. Along the far edge of the table, a tray holds low bowls with powders, the color of dawn and dusk, pearl slate, pale rose, a blue, so faint it could be the first thought of morning. The cartographer lifts the blue with a mother-of-pearl spoon and tips a pinch into an empty shell. The powder collapses in a muted sigh. A dune formed and then stilled. A few drops of star water from the ink bowl are added, and the shell becomes a small tidal pool, the powder dissolving into a lucid wash that reflects the lantern flame as a coin of trembling light. The scent is mineral and cold, with a suggestion of rain meeting stone. A brush with soft, long hair waits beside the shell. Its handle is ashwood smooth where a thumb has taught it to be. The bristles are rinsed in clean water, lifted to drip, then touched to the edge of a folded cloth. Drops gather and fall with patient precision. The brush dips into the pale blue and drinks. When it rises, a thin vein of color follows its lift, thinning to nothing before it can decide to spill. The cartographer holds the brush above the map for a breath, letting the tip find its own weight. Then, the first wash begins, not a line, but a softness that arrives, the way fog arrives over fields. The blue moves across the unmarked field like a tide that has forgotten urgency. It settles into a gradient that is more feeling than form, a suggestion of depth where the compasses thread points and pauses. The lantern's glow warms the wash to dusk glass. The page drinks steadily, the texture of vellum responding in tiny, invisible ridges, an intimacy the fingers know without touching. The cartographer lifts the brush, watches the last drop decline from the bristles, and rests the handle on a porcelain cradle, the faintest tick of wood against ceramic. A pause opens deliberate and light. The room listens to the drying. The air's coolness deepens, as though the night itself has leaned closer, curious and kind. Outside, if outside can be said to exist, the low tone shifts, half a shade toward amber, joined by a second, higher filament of sound that threads the quiet like a far bell through mist. Cedar lingers at the edge of breath. The cartographer's shoulders slow their breathing. The posture becomes a home. From a narrow drawer, a small bone folder is withdrawn. Its surface is satin smooth, warmed a moment in the hand. The cartographer draws it along the vellum's top edge, not to crease, only to teach it an inclination to lie more tenderly. The sound is a soft glide like a fingertip across silk. The edge relaxes. The wash, now dry to the touch, wears a low, oceanic sheen that flickers when the lantern blinks. The compass's crystal shows it differently. The blue appears deeper within it, as though the crystal has found a second sky to keep. The cartographer opens a shallow tin. Inside lies chalk, the color of moth wings. A sliver is lifted and kissed to the map where the blue meets the empty field, laying the gentlest mist, a veil that persuades one tone into another. The chalk's dust, finer than breath, hangs for a second and then descends, joining the map's grain. A delicate tap releases excess onto the cloth. The tap itself sounds like a thought setting itself down. At the margin of the nebula, the violet residue seen earlier, a thin border of clarity, is suggested with the corner of the brush. Not a fence, simply a courteous berth, a river path giving space to a quiet sleeper. The nebula seems to loosen further, violet tendering toward grey lavender, restful as linen dried in shade. The room feels larger for the courtesy, as if walls had chosen to exhale. The star water ink glints in its bowl. The quill returns to the hand, and a new line is invited to appear along the inside of the blue wash. A meridian that isn't straight, but true bowing, where truth is softer than geometry. The nib whispers against the vellum. The mark lives then, dims silver, becoming grey as it dries. Where it crosses earlier lines, the crossings are not intersections but greetings, small nods where paths recognize kinship. Another ritual, the soft brush that clears stray dust, is lifted. Its bristles graze the map in breath-length swaths, gathering the chalk's spare whisper into the cloth held open like a palm. The brush smells faintly of clean hair and cedar. The cloth receives the dust and keeps it. The bowl of star water is covered with a simple ceramic lid. The touch produces a tiny ceramic cord, bright and quickly gone. A new sound enters. Scarcely sound at all. The hush of thin chimes, stirred by almost nothing. 3 notes, nothing more, like soft glass listening to itself. They arrive from an unseen corner and fade before they can become an idea. The cartographer hears them by the skin, as by the ear, and the compass thread brightens for a heartbeat's length in polite response. A second cup is set upon the table, this one smaller, glazed, the color of worn bone. It receives water made warm in the lantern's halo, and a sprig of cedar is dipped once, then removed, leaving its trace as a kindness instead of a flavor. The cup's heat is modest, an inner pocket of summer at the palm. The rim touches the lower lip and pauses. The taste is clear water with a drift of forest breath. The swallow is unhurried. The cup returns to wood with a round, friendly sound, as if the table had sighed. Yes. The cartographer looks again at the map and sees what has changed by not choosing it. The blue has settled into a bay, that no one drew an inlet whose curve exists because of the way light leaned and then forgot to leave. Into that bay, a constellation lowers its brightness by one measure and becomes a cluster that suggests rest, not sleep yet, but the moment before. With the quill 3 points are acknowledged with dots so fine, they might be the punctuation of weather. A fourth is left unmarked, the better for the story to remain breath. From beneath the table, a roll of soft cloth appears, tied with twine. It is loosened and unfolded to reveal a narrow strip of velvet soot black with a bloom of dusk. The cartographer lays it along the lower edge of the map, inviting a horizon that will never demand a sun. Fingers smooth it once, and the velvet answers with a touch like the shadow of a moth's wing. The lantern's glow rests upon it, but does not enter. Darkness accepts light only as a neighbor. There is a thought, but it arrives as weather rather than speech. That guidance is a form of listening made visible. The cartographer watches the compass's quiet revolving, the thread's occasional pause, where the chest quiets slightly more. The map carries this listening, now blue, graded into near colorlessness, chalk dissolved into breath-silvered lines, banking like swallows near water. A reflection follows that endings and beginnings are only different names for the same soft door. The room agrees by doing nothing at all. The cedar box is returned to its corner. The brush is rinsed and drawn clean across the folded cloth. Each stroke leaves a faint wet line that evaporates and disappears. A diary written in vanishing ink. The shell with the remaining blue is tipped to the water bowl, and a small star trembles across the surface before the color thins into clear. The porcelain cradles the brush again. The quill rests across the ink bowl's lid, its nib pointing toward the compass, as if in quiet conversation. At the hem of the map, a final gesture for this passage. The bone folder draws a curve at the lower right, lifting the vellum into a shallow swell that catches the lantern glow and returns it like the softest tide. Nothing is sealed. Nothing is declared complete. The cartographer lets the hands become still on either side of the map and allows the body to mirror the vellum's calm. The room grows quieter by a shade. The chimes do not return. They do not need to. Cedar has faded into wood and paper. The tea's meadow memory has become silence with a green edge. The compass thread dims to a sleeping ember. The flame learns a smaller language and speaks it well. The blue bay holds its breath, then keeps it. The sky beyond the idea of walls drifts closer, not as distance, but as tenderness. And the map, having added almost nothing and discovered almost everything, settles into a deeper, more patient glow. The lantern's glow lingers through the quiet hours, softened by the hush of the sky beyond. Every surface hums faintly with rest. The table's grain, the edges of the vellum, the bowl of ink, now cool as river stone. The celestial cartographer remains near the map, not working, but listening. The silence has become dimensional, alive with subtleties. The faint settling of air, the invisible drift of warmth from the lantern's heart, the near melodic rhythm of one's own steady breath. It is in this stillness that the next passage reveals itself, not in thought, but in permission. Beyond the table's reach, a cloud begins to gather, delicate, unhurried. It does not intrude, nor seek attention. It simply becomes. The air thickens slightly, as though the night has remembered something it forgot to keep hidden. A soft luminescence stirs within the haze, pale violet tinged with muted rose. The nebula unfurls like the exhalation of a dream long held in the lungs of the cosmos. Dust particles shimmer within it, countless and slow, turning over one another in patterns too kind to name. The cartographer watches. No attempt to define, to measure, to assign meaning. The nebula's light moves across the skin in trembling brushstrokes, cold at first, then tender. Each shimmer seems to carry a fragment of memory, not narrative, but sensation. Laughter dissolved into wind rain on the edge of an open window. A forgotten promise that once brought calm. These are not recollections to be held, only to be witnessed as they dissolve. The cartographer tilts the head slightly, eyes following a spiral of faint gold threading through violet fog, a thought finding its way home. The scent of the room changes. The cedar has retreated, and in its place comes something softer, like linen, dried beneath moonlight. There is the faintest sweetness, not perfume, but memory's residue. The cartographer draws closer, not with steps, but by allowing the body to lean into the nebula's pulse. Light brushes fabric, and a subtle current of warmth responds like a cat stretching near a quiet fire. Every motion feels translated into slower time. A hand lifts palm open. The nebula drifts toward it, as though it has been waiting all this time for recognition. Threads of soft color gather at the fingertips, hesitant but curious. The touch is weightless, a meeting without pressure. Violet turns to lavender, lavender to dusk gray, until the light rests like a sigh within the cartographer's palm. It is not captured, it simply pauses. There's a feeling in the air, the gentle ache of forgiveness perhaps, or the stillness that follows understanding. A line of ink from the map catches the nebula's glow and shivers once alive. The cartographer sets the free hand upon the table's edge, grounding back into wood and grain. Beneath that surface lies centuries of trees and breath. Each layer holds the patience of growth, of standing through wind and storm to become shelter. The cartographer's fingertips press lightly against it, finding the pulse of life remembered by matter the way stillness hides motion within itself. The nebula too seems to listen, and its light dims to a calmer hue, nearly transparent now like breath caught in a glass sphere. From a drawer, a soft brush is lifted, not for ink, but for dust. Its bristles are silken, each one a whisper. The cartographer passes it gently through the air between the table and the nebula. The motion leaves behind faint ripples of calm, like the wake of a boat on sleeping water. Where the brush has passed, the haze thins, not erased, but soothed, a gentle invitation for the nebula to rest. Light pools into smaller swirls, each one a softened echo of the last. The air grows cooler. Somewhere distant, a low wind wanders through unseen corridors, carrying a note like the hush of pages turned in a vast library. The cartographer closes the eyes briefly and listens. It's a sound the world makes only when it's certain no one will ask it to explain. The lips curve in a faint, almost invisible smile. Acknowledgement without ownership. The nebula responds by lowering its brightness. Another measure, now no more than a soft fog tracing the map's edges. The brush returns to its cradle. The cartographer lifts the small cup, now cool to the touch, and refills it with clear water. The pour is slow, each drop a note in a fragile rhythm. The sound blends with the low wind, creating a music so subtle it can only be felt. The cup returns to the table, leaving a ring of condensation that glistens briefly before absorbing into wood. That small impermanence feels sacred, the mark of presence, fleeting and complete. The nebula begins to move of its own accord. Its swirls gather and unravel, forming shapes that never hold long enough to identify the outline of a face seen once in a dream. The curve of a distant shoreline remembered from childhood. The soft fold of a blanket half forgotten. Every form dissolves before the mind can name it. This is how the night erases noise, by showing that beauty does not require endurance. Hell. The cartographer takes up the quill once more, but only to draw absence. A curve of near invisible ink outlines where the nebula lingers, not containing it, but honoring its existence. The line is barely there, silver gray, fading even as it dries. When the lantern light touches it, it gleams once, then vanishes into the page's tone. The cartographer tilts the page slightly to watch the vanishing. It feels like watching snowfall melt on a window pane. Now, the nebula begins to quiet itself. The air clears, revealing the faint shape of the map beneath. Where the violet cloud once shimmered the surface now carries a trace not color, but texture, like breath pressed into fabric. The cartographer runs a fingertip just above it, not touching, only sensing the shift. It feels like peace made visible. The nebula has not gone. It has transformed into stillness. The sound in the air becomes softer still. The chime tones from before return 3 clear notes, spaced as widely as sighs. Each note lingers, then falls into silence. The lantern flame adjusts as if leaning into the hush. Its glow becomes almost motionless, a suspended heart of light within glass. The cartographer inhales deeply. The air tastes faintly metallic, like starlight turned liquid. The exhale is long, deliberate, dissolving whatever boundaries remained between self and space. The nebula's center flickers once more before it fades. Its last breath is a faint silver shimmer that crosses the map like mist over water. Then it is gone, or rather, it has become absorbed into the soft geography of the chart. The cartographer does not mourn the loss, for nothing was lost. The room is fuller now for what it allowed to leave. The map glows subtly in the lantern's afterlight. Its surface holds stories that will never need telling, only dreaming. Each unspoken thing rests here among the drawn lines and the empty spaces, equal in worth. The air has a fragrance of cool earth after rain. Beyond the open window, the night deepens without darkening a deep blue that breathes rather than moves. The cartographer leans back slightly, hands resting lightly on the thighs, and lets the eyes close. Behind the lids, the nebula still lives, not as sight but as pulse, a soft awareness that everything, even forgetfulness, belongs to the same luminous map. The thought is not spoken, but it arrives simple and kind. Nothing truly fades. It only finds another form of light. The lantern lowers its glow another fraction. The ink's shimmer cools to still gray. The compass rests with its thread aligned perfectly with the heart's rhythm. The map, like breath itself, slows and evens. Outside, the stars drift closer, not in movement, but in nearness of presence. The nebula has passed, leaving in its wake a still clear space where dreams can gather quietly and begin to hum. The hours have dissolved into something beyond time, neither late nor early. Only the steady hum of being. The lantern burns lower now, its light ambered and slow, settling into a shape like calm breath. The celestial cartographer sits motionless beside the map, which has cooled into a soft sheen of silver gray. Every drawn curve feels alive in its stillness. The air is weightless, scented faintly with paper-cooled metal and the last trace of cedar smoke. A silence so complete gathers that it feels like velvet draped over sound. From the quiet sky above, a subtle shift begins. Not a movement, but a deepening of light, the sense that something luminous has chosen to be seen. Stars seem to lean closer, each one breathing in its own slow rhythm. They do not twinkle. They pulse a kind of patient heartbeat across the dark. The cartographer lifts the gaze toward them, and in that moment, the distance between the hand and the heavens feels almost tenderly thin. A thread of thought drifts through. Perhaps the constellations are not maps at all, but memories of how calm once looked. The map reflects the sky faintly, its inked lines mirroring the starlit patterns above. Between them, a gentle conversation forms, as if each drawn curve listens to its celestial twin. The cartographer notices this quiet dialogue the way reflections hum to their originals. A quill rests idle in hand, its tip glimmering faintly under the lantern glow, waiting not for instruction, but invitation. The ink within the bowl is cooler now, darker its surface, holding a single ripple that will take minutes to disappear. A breath moves through the room, invisible but palpable. The night exhaling across the table. The cartographer closes the eyes for a brief moment and listens. The breath sounds like fabric, brushed gently by wind, like sleep, turning on its side. When the eyes open again, the stars have arranged themselves into a loose pattern, not rigid, not ancient, something new and uncertain, yet deeply peaceful. The cartographer studies it as one might study the folds of a blanket, finding comfort in their casual design. The quill is lifted, but before it touches the page, a hand steadies it mid-air, suspended between motion and pause. The flame flickers and steadies again, tracing gold veins along the fingers. The map below waits without expectation. Then, with a softness equal to a sigh, the first line of this new constellation is drawn. It curves inward like an embrace, a gesture of quiet gathering. The ink dries as it goes silver, threading through darkness, creating a form that feels more like a lullaby than a pattern. Each star is marked with care. The tip of the quill taps lightly, barely a sound, leaving tiny mirrors of light that glimmer then fade into stillness. Between those marks, a kind of invisible gravity grows, not pulling, but holding. The cartographer's breath synchronizes with the rhythm: inhale, draw, exhale, rest. Around the table, air and ink become the same slow language. Now, the constellations begin to take on meaning. Only the night understands. One seems to cradle the shape of an open hand. Another mirrors the arc of a sleeping body. A third resembles nothing at all, and yet it feels familiar, as though seen often in dreams. The cartographer's eyes soften, no longer searching for logic. The stars, patient as caretakers, arrange themselves into harmony beyond comprehension. From the compass comes a faint hum, a single tone so delicate it might be mistaken for breath caught in glass. The thread of light within it stirs and aligns itself toward the new formation on the map. The cartographer smiles without smiling, a movement entirely internal. The compass's glow grows fractionally warmer, its soft light sliding across the page like a promise kept long ago. The quill is returned to its rest. This part of the sky has drawn itself. The cartographer leans back slightly, fingers brushing the table's edge. The wood's texture is calm, smooth, but with enough grain to remind the hand of time's patience. The room feels wider, though nothing has changed. The air seems to expand around the map, making space for the unseen constellations that continue to unfold within thought. The light in the lantern shifts to a deeper tone, gold turning honey dark. Shadows stretch into long, peaceful curves. A kettle, forgotten for a while, is lifted and poured into the same small cup. The water has cooled, so the sound is low and silken. A drop splashes onto the rim, catching the lantern glow and becoming a small, trembling world. The cartographer drinks the liquid smooth and unflavored, a perfect quietness on the tongue. The warmth is subtle, spreading through the chest like a slow dawn. Outside, the sky seems to echo that warmth, deep blue shading toward amethyst. The constellations on the page glimmer faintly now, not with the brightness of stars, but with a light that seems internal, as if born from within the vellum itself. The cartographer traces one line with a fingertip, careful not to disturb the ink. The touch finds a pulse beneath the page, the rhythm of something alive, something breathing through paper and pigment. A thought stirs soft and certain. The universe remembers kindness. The map's newest section begins to hum, not audibly, but through sensation. The lines feel resonant, vibrating gently in the quiet. The cartographer watches as the silver tones shift to warmer hues, pale gold, then to a gray blue that seems to glow without light. This, the cartographer understands, is the moment when creation becomes rest, when making turns into being. The constellation's meaning is not to guide travelers, but to soothe them into stillness. On the table's corner, the meteor glass fragment catches the lantern light again. Its surface now reflects the drawn constellations like a small, private sky. When held to the light, the patterns within it rearrange subtly, forming a reflection of the new design. The cartographer tilts it gently, and the reflection becomes fluid, a slow river of stars dissolving and reforming. Watching it feels like listening to the earth breathe beneath snow. Outside, or somewhere far beyond, the night deepens, yet it never feels darker. The air thickens with that soft density found only in moments before sleep. A silver hush blankets everything, wrapping light and silence into the same tender cloth. The cartographer sets the meteor glass down carefully, its weight like a thought fully understood. The compass dims, the hum fades, but peace remains. Each star drawn seems to emit a pulse that syncs with the slow rhythm of breathing. Inhale, the map glows faintly. Exhale, it softens. The lines between constellations blur their separations, dissolving into unity. The cartographer lowers the head, resting one hand over the heart, and lets the eyes drift closed for a long moment. Within that darkness, the constellations continue to shine, not above or below, but within, mapped across the inner night. The lantern, sensing this silence, flickers once more. Its flame is no longer a point, but a shape, soft and rounded like the glow of dawn, seen through linen curtains. The light touches every drawn mark, making them shimmer as though breathing. A subtle warmth gathers in the room, gentle and steady, the warmth of something that has finally found its resting place. The cartographer lowers the quill beside the ink bowl and smooths the edges of the map with a soft cloth. The touch is affectionate, like tucking in a sleeping child. The stars, the ink, the empty spaces, all coexist now as a single lullaby. The compass lies quiet, its thread perfectly still, aligned not to north or time, but to calm itself. The constellations of rest are complete, though not finished. They will shift again tomorrow night, as all things living do. For now, they breathe softly on the page, forming a promise too tender to speak aloud. The cartographer watches for another long breath, and then lets the hands fall still, the heart matching the rhythm of the stars, steady, slow, infinite. Outside the window, the sky seems to exhale, and the world grows quieter than silence. The air carries no sound, but the hum of peace. The lantern light narrows to a faint, steady glow, and everything star's ink map, mind settles into one seamless stillness. The night has thickened into velvet, the kind that drinks sound, softens edges, and hushes thought. Time drifts without direction, neither forward nor back, just an endless, slow unfolding. The lantern's glow is low, an amber heartbeat within glass. The celestial cartographer sits before the map in quiet awe, as though the page itself has begun to breathe. Each constellation glows faintly from within, pulsing like slow tides against unseen shores. The air has cooled. It smells faintly of stone after rain of distance of calm returning to its source. The cartographer lowers a hand toward the compass. Its crystal no longer hums. It rests the thread of light stilled at the center. For a long moment, nothing moves. Then, as breath deepens, the thread begins to turn again, not toward a direction, but along a curve, graceful and inevitable. It draws a slow circle, luminous and complete. This is not north nor south, but something inward, the meridian of dreams, the line where waking fades and sleep begins. The cartographer watches entranced. The compass glow reflects in the ink bowl, scattering silver ripples across the map. Each drawn constellation responds their points of light, aligning along that invisible path, as though acknowledging the presence of this new meridian. The page seems to hum softly beneath the fingertips. A new landscape unfolds, though nothing has been added. It is the old, seen through deeper calm. The cartographer's pulse matches it, slow and circular, unhurried as eternity. A breeze moves through the open window, cool, measured, and kind. It slips past the lantern flame, bending it sideways, then letting it rise again. The scent that comes with it is impossible to name, a blend of distant rain, quiet metal, and something like old books. The memory of words no longer needed. The cartographer inhales slowly, allowing it to linger before letting it go. The air seems to whisper through the map's silver lines, making them tremble with new life. A quill is lifted, its nib glimmering with a faint residue of starlight. The ink bowl no longer reflects light. It absorbs it, black and infinite, like the mouth of the universe itself. The quill dips and rises, dripping once before finding the page. The first mark of the meridian is drawn, a thin, continuous thread that moves not in straightness, but in grace. It curves in rhythm with the pulse, winding gently between constellations, through the violet trace of the old nebula, past the small blue bay of rest. Each motion is tender, patient, reverent. The ink leaves a faint sheen that catches the lantern's breath, a living thing that appears then fades, like the shimmer of night water under starlight. The meridian connects what was once separate not by force, but by belonging. As the quill moves, the cartographer feels a shift inside, a soft alignment between hand and heart. The map is no longer something made. It is something remembered. The air seems to grow lighter. The ceiling, if there is one, dissolves into endless space. Stars drift freely above, mirrored by the lines below. The map and sky are indistinguishable, now two halves of the same dream, folded against each other. The cartographer looks up and sees for a heartbeat the faint reflection of the self, traced among those constellations. Not a body, but a pulse of light, a rhythm of existence drawn thin across infinity. The hand stops. The quill rests. The meridian gleams one final time brighter at the center where the compass points. It feels less like creation and more like revelation, a recognition that stillness, when seen clearly enough, has direction. The cartographer exhales, slow, deliberate, and a fine mist of warmth curls from the lips into the cool air. The breath drifts across the map and lingers at the meridian's curve as though sealing it with softness. The lantern flickers in rhythm with that breath. The shadows deepen, forming gentle pools around the edges of the room. In one corner, the meteor glass glows faintly, not by light, but by memory. It hums with a vibration just at the edge of hearing. The cartographer turns toward it and listens. The sound resembles the ocean heard from inside a shell patient, endless and strangely human. The hum moves through the floorboards, through the table, through the hands, until it becomes indistinguishable from heartbeat. Now the map glows fully alive with quiet purpose. The constellations drift toward the meridian as though drawn by gravity's kind hand. They do not collide. They merge patterns, dissolving into one luminous band of silver. The ink no longer sits on the page. It is the page. The cartographer watches as each shape, each curve, each point of light blurs into a gentle continuum. It is as if the stars themselves have exhaled, surrendering to unity. The air around the table grows warmer dense with light. The cartographer's eyelids lower halfway, and vision becomes something softer, more internal. The sound of the room changes. The faint ticking that once came from the compass disappears. The hush of the wind grows slower, deeper, like breath under blankets. The cartographer's hands fold loosely on the table. For a moment, it feels as though the whole world has leaned inward to rest. Through the half-closed eyes, the map shimmers again, but not in ink or starlight. It appears to move beneath the surface. Vast landscapes, rivers of soft illumination, gentle whirlpools of dream. The cartographer understands this wordlessly. The meridian of dreams is not drawn on the map. It is drawn through the soul. To cross it is not to move, but to surrender. The cartographer takes one more breath, eyes closing fully, and the world becomes light and sound intertwined. There is a moment of weightlessness, the kind between waking thought and the first drift of sleep. In that pause, all things seem possible. The blending of sky and sea, of ink and air, of heartbeats with constellations. The meridian gleams once, then dims into gentleness. The stars above hold still, as though watching over what has been found. The cartographer opens the eyes again. The room is unchanged, yet everything feels renewed, as if silence itself had been polished. The map glows faintly from within its edges, soft its lines, nearly invisible now. It has become more feeling than object. A final droplet of ink slides down the quill's tip and lands near the meridian's curve, leaving a small mark shaped almost like a teardrop, or perhaps a seed. The cartographer lets it be, knowing some marks are meant to remain incomplete. The compass dims once more, returning to rest. The thread of light curls into itself, sleeping within crystal. The lantern steadies its flame, reduced to a low golden whisper. The cartographer sits in stillness, the kind that hums quietly through the bones. Outside or within, the stars rearrange themselves into silence. The map lies open, radiant in restraint, breathing in harmony with the dreamer beside it. For a while there is only calm. The air moves once cool and tender. The hand on the table relaxes. Every pulse within the room seems to slow. Even the shadows grow drowsy. The meridian of dreams gleams faintly for the last time tonight, a silver circle holding all directions, all possibilities, all quiets. It asks for nothing, promises nothing, and gives peace without a sound. The cartographer lowers the lantern's wick. The flame shrinks to a single amber pearl. Around it, the map fades into semi-darkness. Its details no longer visible, only felt. The stars outside withdraw softly into themselves. The air grows still, dense with hush. Somewhere, perhaps in the heart, perhaps in the sky, a door of light closes with infinite gentleness. The night rests. The cartographer does too, neither awake nor asleep, suspended on the meridian that holds both. The map, the room, and the dream have become one continuous breath. The lantern has dimmed to its gentlest form, a quiet pulse inside glass, more glow than flame. The celestial cartographer sits within that softened light head, bowed slightly, eyes half closed, as though the body itself has learned the rhythm of the stars. The map lies open, vast and pale, its drawn meridian no longer distinct, but woven into the fabric of the page like breath hidden in air. The constellations are fading too, each point of light folding inward, becoming secret. The world holds its breath, preparing to rest. The table is cool beneath the fingertips. The surface feels different now, less like wood, more like water that has forgotten how to flow. The cartographer lifts the hand and watches its reflection tremble across the map's faint sheen. The light there bends again and finds no edges. It's as though the map has deepened into another realm, a mirror of dreams waiting just beyond awareness. The air around it hums faintly, the sound of something alive in its stillness. From the compass, a final glow stirs soft silver, blooming and fading like the heartbeat of sleep. The thread within turns once, twice, then stills entirely. It points toward no direction at all, which is to say, it points toward every possible one. The cartographer understands this silently. The map is no longer a guide to slumber. It is slumber itself made visible before dissolving back into quiet, too. A low sigh escapes the wind beyond the window, curling through the room with a voice like silk dragging over stone. The air carries the scent of midnight rain, faint and cool. The flame bows briefly, then straightens patient as a listener. The cartographer leans closer to the map, eyes soft, unblinking, absorbing the faint shimmer that lingers where lines once danced. It's no longer possible to tell where ink ends and light begins. The page itself glows with something like remembered moonlight, an after-image of creation's tenderness. The brush is taken up once more, not to draw, but to clear the surface. The bristles move slowly, tracing circles that echo the pulse of the heart. Each pass gathers a faint shimmer of dust, or perhaps of dreams half spoken. The brush hums faintly, like the murmur of wind against feathers. The cartographer wipes it clean against the cloth and pauses, holding the handle loosely, as though unsure whether the tool serves the work or the stillness that has followed. A sound arises, distant, muffled, warm. It is the low resonance of the universe asleep. The walls, the floor, even the air seem to vibrate with it, soft as a lullaby sung through the fabric of time. The cartographer sets the brush aside and lets the vibrations settle through the bones. Shoulders loosen, breath lengthens. The world feels porous now, boundaries softened into invitation. On the map, faint light continues to move, not in lines or constellations, but as a slow drift, gentle spirals of illumination that twist and melt into one another, forming rivers of silver across the vellum. They remind the cartographer of tides seen from high cliffs, water curling inward, folding into itself. These currents seem to carry something invisible, fragments of thought, threads of memory, and whispers of forgotten dreams. The cartographer traces one of these glowing rivers with the edge of a finger. The skin meets coolness, not cold, but the soft chill of moonlit metal. The sensation, hums upward, through the arm, through the chest, until the breath synchronizes with the map's slow rhythm. A faint awareness emerges. Each of these rivers is not ink, but the echo of what was released earlier. Every forgotten thought, every softened worry, finding its rightful place in the geography of rest. The light from the lantern bends, reflecting across the table's grain. It scatters into faint moving constellations upon the wall. They flicker like the remnants of fireflies, seen through twilight haze. The cartographer lifts the gaze to watch them. Dozens of little lights pulsing gently, forming and reforming patterns no one will ever name. The heart feels lighter, for it emptied yet full, the way air feels after rain. A soft tone joins the silence, the faint metallic chime of the compass cooling. It rings once, then fades into a hum that seems to come from inside the chest. The sound is not lonely. It is the music of something coming to rest after a long, loving task. The cartographer listens as that tone threads itself into the low breath of night. The two sounds merge, then disappear. Somewhere beyond the map, beyond even thought, the stars begin to close their eyes. Each one dims in order, a slow cascade of fading lights across the vast sleeping sky. The darkness that follows is not absence, but fullness, a quiet womb of space cradling everything within it. The cartographer feels the weight of eyelids, the soft gravity of surrender. The body yields to it without question, moving as water would move, effortlessly and true. The quill is still nearby, its tip faintly stained with dried silver. The cartographer lifts it one last time, not to write, but to draw a single breath along its feathered spine. The scent is faint, clean, parchment trace, metal air, warmed by lamp. It feels ancient and immediate, like the memory of a lullaby heard through many lives. The quill is laid gently across the map, its feather touching the meridian's curve as if in farewell. The map responds. A slow ripple of light moves from one corner to the other, passing beneath the quill, then outward in all directions. It reaches the compass, the meteor, glass, the cup, the walls, and finally, the lantern. For an instant, everything glows at once, suffused with a color that isn't a color at all, more sensation than sight. Then the glow subsides, sinking inward until only the faintest silver remains at the map's edge. The line of slumber has been drawn not by ink, but by surrender. The cartographer rests both hands on the table's surface. Beneath the palms, warmth gathers. It pulses faintly, matching the rhythm of the heart, that gentle, unbroken wave that knows neither beginning nor end. The head bows lower, the eyes close. Around the body, the air thickens with silence, the kind that does not separate but joins. The lantern flickers once, twice, and steadies again. Its light no longer feels separate from the dark. The cartographer dreams, not of stars or maps, but of texture, of soft moss, under bare feet of linen, folded beside candlelight of wind, passing over long grass. In this dream, time breathes differently, slower, deeper. The sky inside the dream is not above or below. It surrounds. In it, countless gentle points of light drift like pollen, too soft to be stars, too perfect to be anything else. In that infinite quiet, the cartographer senses the completion of something sacred and small. The map of slumber is not meant to be seen again, its purpose fulfilled by its own vanishing. It is not a chart, but a kindness, a record of stillness translated into form. Its lines will fade completely by dawn, but the calm they contained will remain within every sleeping soul that shared its night. The lantern's flame lowers further, becoming almost translucent. The air shimmers where warmth meets cool, where dream meets waking edge. The cartographer's breathing slows into a near whisper. A final thought, or maybe a wish, rises like mist. Let the night keep what I have drawn. The thought dissolves as quickly as it formed, absorbed into the gentle silence that fills everything now. Outside, the world is hushed. Clouds drift without wind. The stars rest behind their veil. The map lies perfectly still, faintly aglow, not as an object, but as a presence. If one were to listen closely, they might hear it breathe. The cartographer sleeps, sitting upright, one hand still resting on the map, the other over the heart. The two pulses, the dreamer's and the map's, align in perfect rhythm. For a long while, nothing moves. Then, somewhere distant, the faintest echo of dawn begins. Not light, not sound, just the suggestion of gentleness returning. It brushes the farthest edge of darkness, tracing the outline of the world to be. The map does not wake. It dreams on quietly, mapping the silence of rest. The night holds its last breath, poised on the edge of change. A cool hush rests across the world. The stillness that exists just before light remembers its way back. The celestial cartographer sits unmoving in the tender dark, one hand still upon the map, the other resting gently over the heart. Both pulse with the same rhythm, deep, unhurried, certain. The lantern's flame has grown thin like the final ember of a dream, and the air shimmers faintly with the warmth of things that once glowed. The map is no longer a surface. It has become a horizon within itself, an ocean of pale silver. folding endlessly into quiet. Lines that were drawn now drift like rivers of breath, dissolving into soft gradients of light. The cartographer breathes once, and the page seems to answer. The boundary between maker and made has vanished. There is only one slow movement, one shared exhale. Outside, the world begins to turn again. The first shimmer of dawn moves not as light, but as temperature. A gentle rise fell through the walls, a deepening gold pressed softly into air. The stars above begin to retreat, but not with haste. They dim as if bowing, leaving behind a trail of tenderness. Every constellation folds itself inward, the way a flower closes before the sun touches it. The night is not ending, it is only becoming another form of rest. The cartographer opens their eyes. For a moment, vision wavers between worlds, the fading constellations above, and their echoes still alive on the vellum. Both skies breathe overlapping. One recedes, the other deepens. A faint sound fills the air. Not song, not wind, but the hum of light awakening. It feels like memory returning, or maybe forgiveness. The cartographer smiles not outwardly, but through stillness itself. The lantern senses the shift. Its flame trembles once as though sighing with relief. Then it steadies into something new. Less illumination, more presence. Around it, particles of dust rise, caught between the last of the dark and the first suggestion of day. They glitter softly, each one its own tiny universe. The cartographer watches their dance, that effortless surrender to gravity and air, and whispers a thought that doesn't reach the lips. Everything beautiful knows how to fall. From the window, a faint line of silver expands into pale gold. The world outside begins to hum with unseen motion. Not yet sound, only promise. The map glows once more in response. The drawn meridian brightens, marking the place where dream and waking meet. Its curve gleams like water touched by sunrise. The constellations shimmer faintly as if stirring in their sleep. Then slowly, the light within them begins to release. Each point fades in its own time, melting into the map's pale surface, leaving behind a residue of warmth. The cartographer rises carefully. Muscles move as though made of dusk, supple, slow, patient. The chair gives a low, content sigh. A few faint creaks from the wood join the soft hum of the morning's arrival. The cartographer stands before the map, eyes tracing every curve, every subtle shimmer now dimming. The face is calm, illuminated by the thin gold glow beginning to spill through the window. A hand reaches out, and touches the page once softly. The map is cool now, but it hums faintly. A vibration felt more than heard, the heartbeat of something complete. The compass on the table stirs. Its thread of light glows once, then unspools, entirely dissolving into air. The crystal remains clear, empty, yet full, a vessel for silence. The meteor glass beside it catches dawn and scatters it, painting the walls with shifting hues, pale amber, rose, silver, blue. They drift like whispered farewells. The lantern, as if taking its cue, lowers its flame another fraction until it's barely visible. Just a single golden tear within glass. The cartographer gathers the tools of the night, the quill, the brush, the bowl, not with purpose, but with reverence. Each is cleaned, dried, and set aside in its proper place. The cloth, once damp with oil, is folded neatly. The cedar box is closed with a muted click that feels like the closing of a lullaby. The room breathes lighter, for it released from its task. The scent of the night lingers, faint ink, cool paper, and the smallest echo of cedar mingled now with the first sweetness of morning air. The map is left open. It deserves to breathe. The vellum's surface gleams faintly where light touches it, a sheen like dew on soft stone. The marks of the night's labor are nearly gone, but in their absence, something finer remains, a texture of peace, invisible, yet palpable. The cartographer steps back and observes it, and in that gaze is gratitude, not for what was made, but for what was revealed. Outside, the world begins to murmur again. The hush of night gives way to distant rustle branches, shifting unseen wings, stirring the faint sigh of wind, finding its shape again. The cartographer lifts a hand toward the open window. The first true light of dawn brushes the fingertips, not hot, not bright, just alive. It feels like forgiveness, or perhaps like being remembered by the world. The map catches that same light. Its surface gleams for the briefest instant, a living reflection of the horizon. Then just as quietly, the glow fades. The page settles into stillness, a muted ivory tone, holding traces of everything that once shimmered. The map no longer needs to be read. It only needs to exist. The cartographer watches as a single mote of dust caught in the golden current drifts above the table. It spirals once, twice, and lands near the center of the map, directly along the dreamer's meridian. The cartographer smiles, knowing it belongs there. Nothing in the universe, not even a speck of light, ever truly arrives by accident. A soft exhale fills the room. The breath leaves the body like mist, dissolving into early sun. The cartographer lowers the gaze, then slowly reaches to extinguish the lantern. The flame leans sideways, curls upon itself, and fades into smoke. The glass cools immediately, wearing a faint cloud of condensation that catches the morning light. The room sighs a quiet, wordless gratitude. The world beyond the veil of night has awakened. Yet, inside the quiet remains intact, whole and untouched. The cartographer rests one hand upon the heart again, feeling the steady beat, now perfectly synchronized with the rhythm of dawn. A smile, soft, small, absolute forms and fades. The map will stay on the table, glowing faintly in the slant of morning. In a few hours, it will return to parchment, the ink invisible, the story complete. But the stillness it summoned will remain woven into the fibers of everything air, wood, breath, and the spaces between. The celestial cartographer steps back once more, letting the light pour in fully. The room fills with a hush that feels like a benediction. The night has kept its promise. The dream has found its shape. And in the golden quiet between ending and beginning, there is peace, pure, wordless, infinite. Dawn spreads slowly, not as brilliance, but as breath. The air glows with the faintest blush of warmth, a gold too soft to name. The celestial cartographer stands in that light, still as a shadow between worlds. The night has not vanished. It lingers in quiet folds, in the corners of the room, in the hush that clings to paper, in the deep calm that hums beneath the ribs. Everything glows with the tenderness of something recently dreamed. The map lies before them, the once luminous chart now pale, its silver threads turned to ghostly veins beneath the surface. It no longer shows constellations or meridians. Instead, it mirrors the dawn itself. Light shifts across it like slow water. The cartographer watches, eyes half closed, seeing not the page, but what it has become, a reflection of rest, a vessel for everything that was surrendered in the night. The lantern, cool and silent, holds its glass mist like memory. The compass lies open beside it, the thread of light now invisible but present, its silence articulate. The meteor glass has caught the new day. Its heart burns faintly rose gold. The tools of the night, brush, quill, cloth, rest in quiet companionship. Their purpose fulfilled, their forms softened by use. The cartographer reaches for the map, not to fold it, but to feel its temperature. Beneath the fingertips, the vellum is cool, supple, alive. It feels like skin, like the first moment before sleep, that yielding warmth between surrender and stillness. A breath passes over it, unintentional, and the faint shimmer of silver rises once more, as though the map responds to recognition. The cartographer lowers into the chair again. The wood sighs, remembering. For a while, there is only breathing soft, patient human. Outside, the world brightens. The clouds blush faintly. Their undersides hold violet like a secret. Somewhere in the unseen distance, water moves slow and sure. A bird calls, once clear, solitary, unhurried, then stops as if reluctant to disturb this fragile peace. The map begins to fade in earnest. The silver lines dissolve, leaving behind only the grain of vellum. The constellations disappear one by one until even memory cannot recall where they were. Yet the feeling remains a hush that lives in the bones, a calm that glows in the blood. The cartographer watches this disappearance without sadness. Things so tender are meant to leave traces, not shapes. A thin beam of sunlight slips through the window, brushing across the table. It warms the quill, the edge of the compass, the curve of the cartographer's wrist. Dust motes rise, tiny planets caught in a golden current. They drift across the light, spinning slowly, each carrying the quiet of infinite skies within. The map reflects them faintly, a new constellation being drawn by morning itself. The cartographer's eyes close once more. Inside that darkness, the map remains, but differently now. It has moved inward, impressed upon the mind like a faint watermark of peace. The lines are no longer geography, but pulse, an inner landscape where every breath traces its own quiet orbit. The meridian of dreams hums gently within the chest, neither forgotten nor remembered, but lived. A warmth expands behind the eyelids, not from the sun, but from recognition. The realization that this, the map, the sky, the breath, the act of watching light return, is the same thing seen from different sides. The cartographer smiles, and that smile is indistinguishable from dawn. For a long time, the room simply breathes. The shadows shrink. The gold on the walls brightens to ivory. The last coolness of night retreats into the corners, folding itself into memory. On the table, the map lies still ordinary again, except for one detail at its center, where the dreamer's meridian once curved a faint impression remains not ink, not light, but texture. If the fingers brushed it, they might feel the smallest rise, like the ghost of a heartbeat left on paper. The cartographer stands. The chair moves back without sound. One last look passes over the table, a look without attachment, only gratitude. Then the hands reach for the lantern, the compass, and the folded cloth, gathering them, not as tools, but as companions. Each object catches a thread of morning and holds it for an instant before letting it go. The door opens onto the pale horizon. The air outside smells of dew and distance. Mist drifts low across the ground, its edges glowing faintly where sunlight touches it. The cartographer steps into that mist, the map left behind on the table. Its silence, now a lullaby for the day. The door closes softly, not shutting out the light, but blending it with the dimness within one continuous breath shared between inside and out. The room is empty now. Only the table, the map, and the morning remain. The sunlight creeps across the surface, warming the parchment, bringing it fully into day. For a brief moment, something stirs, a glimmer almost invisible, like the faint pulse of a hidden star. Then it fades completely, leaving only stillness. Outside, the sky opens. A flock of pale birds rises through the mist wings, cutting the gold air without urgency. Their movement is quiet, deliberate, as if tracing invisible paths across the heavens, continuing the work the cartographer began. For an instant, the light catches their wings, and the world becomes silver again. Then they vanish into the brightness. The house, the table, the map all rest in silence. There is no separation between night and morning, between dream and waking, between the map and the dreamer. All have folded into one soft truth that rest like light never truly ends. It only changes its color. And so the story closes where it began, in stillness. The lantern cools, the map breathes quietly. The world hums, patient and complete. Somewhere beyond sight, the celestial cartographer walks through the dawn, tracing one final line across the sky, invisible, eternal, and at peace. Sleep well, dream softly, and may the night hold you kindly.